You may have heard something called the gap concept in online poker before, but were unsure of what it was. Well, the gap concept basically implies that we need a stronger hand to call a raise with than we need to actually raise with if we are the first to act in a hand. Originally described by this guy, David Sklansky, in his game-changing book, Tournament Poker for Advanced Players. In it, he gives an example of folding King of Spades and Queen of Hearts to an early position raiser, but raising with that same hand if you were the first one to act in the pot. Now, the range of this gap will be affected based upon how tight or loose your opponents play. But in poker tournaments, the idea here is that you avoid confrontations with players who show strength from early position, while seeking opportunities to put pressure on players behind you who don't want to waste chips. So here's a typical hand that many new players misplay, not understanding the gap concept. You are in middle position with ace-jack offsuit, and you are facing a raise from an early position player. Well, in this spot, ace-jack offsuit can get you in a lot of trouble. Firstly, a raise from early position could very well mean you are getting involved in a dominated situation. Secondly, half the table still has to act behind you now with very good pot odds to get involved in this hand with a wide range of hole cards, perhaps even re-raise you. Also, the chances are the flop is going to completely miss your hand and you won't really know where you are in the hand even if all players miss. As you can see, to call here is potentially asking for a series of difficult, even costly decisions. Now, does this mean you should never play ace-jack offsuit when there is a raise in front of you? Well, no, of course not. Even though most of the time it probably is a fold, it really all depends on your opponent's starting hand range. The more hands he plays, the wider his range. In fact, if he plays, let's say, 50% of the hands dealt to him, then there really is no gap at all with your ace-jack offsuit, and I would strongly consider a re-raise here to isolate a player who you are very likely ahead of pre-flop. With a move like this, you can take control of the hand by eliminating loose competitors and having position on the original raiser. Now, if he is a tight player and pre-flop raises very little, your ace-jack offsuit can be up against hands like these: ace-king, ace-queen, pocket kings, pocket aces, queens, or jacks, which will more than likely be disastrous for you. This is a very narrow gap for you. In fact, the best you can hope for against a player like this is if he has an underpair, but that may still mean difficult post-flop decisions for you in the hand. So even though the gap concept dictates you need a better hand to call the raise with than you need to raise with, the real determination for your decision may very well be the range of hands you can put your opponent on. The wider his range, the smaller gap you have to deal with. I hope that helps you with understanding the gap concept a little better for your tournament play. Thanks for watching. You can always see more poker video tutorials at the Poker School at PattyPowerPoker.com.